Hi class, today's video lesson is the first one for Unit 2. Unit 2 covers algebraic expressions, solving equations, and application problems. So by the end of the unit, those are the things we should have covered. When we use the term algebraic expression, we mean collections of letters and numbers and arithmetic symbols. The letters here are called variables. They are called that because you can plug in different values, so you can vary or change the values. So the letters are the variables. The number that goes in front we'll call the coefficient. So the coefficient of x is 3. And if you happen to have a number that doesn't have a variable, we call that constant because there's nothing to vary, so it stays constant. And an algebraic expression describes how we combine things together. This is different than an equation, which is like two expressions put together. Okay, so this is an expression, this is an expression, and they're connected by an equal sign. So it's important to pay attention to the language that we use in problems. It'll help make sure you know what to do. There are two things we're going to do with expressions. We're going to evaluate, which is to plug things in or substitute for a variable, and we're going to simplify. So those are the two types of problems we're going to do with expressions. Evaluating is the process, that's the term we're going to use for plugging in a number for a variable. This is a skill you'll use in the equation section by plugging in what you think is the answer, and if when you evaluate it it's true, then you'll say yes, that is the solution. In order to evaluate properly, you do need to use the order of operations, and I do often suggest that you plug in whatever you're evaluating with parentheses. So in this case, I'm evaluating by x equals -7. So I'm going to put -7 in parentheses. The math that 3x is doing is 3 times the number, so that's a multiplication. And again, sometimes you'll see this called substitute. This is the same thing. So 3 times -7 is -21, and -21 plus 2 is -19. So that's what we get when we evaluate. Here we have both an x and a y to substitute. So where there's an x, I'll put in a 3, and where there's a y, I'll put in the 0. And I get 12 minus 1 over 7 minus 0, which is 11 over 7. When you're doing these problems, pay attention to how it says to write the answer. It usually says an integer or a fraction. So you don't want to give a decimal, and you definitely don't want to round the decimal if they haven't asked you to do that. In this case, there are absolute value bars, so we're going to need to use what we know about absolute value bars to finish this. 14 times -2 is -28. -5 times 3 is -15. And they're both negative, so we're adding them. We get -43, and then the absolute value make it +43. Here we have parentheses 4 minus 1 squared plus 2. So this is 4 minus 1 is 3. I guess we don't need the parentheses at that point. So we can write 3 squared plus 2, 9 plus 2, and we get 11. If you have any other questions about evaluating and homework 11, please let me know.